welcome to the session. Today we are going to talk about the new content guide feature in Olvy. We are going to see a detailed walkthrough of this feature. But before we dive into the walkthrough, let's first talk about what this feature is about and why it is important. So, what is the problem statement here? Let's first understand. So, when you maintain your changelog or release page, obviously, someone from your team is going to write those release notes for your product. Writing release notes is not an easy task. It involves a lot of activities. The first part is obviously data gathering from different sources. But even after you gather data from different sources, actual writing of release notes for each of the change that you are going to showcase in your release notes requires a considerable thought process, and it involves a bit of a skill as well. And many a times in bigger teams, there are multiple team members who are involved in writing those release notes for different aspects of your product. And when it comes to involving multiple people creating a single document, or multiple people creating the same document at different times for different stakeholders, it obviously creates a differentiation between the output that is being created by different stakeholders. Even with the same person who is going to generate release notes for every time, it can become a bit of a variation between the two release notes that a same person might have written. And why it happens? When this particular thing happens, every release notes feels different depending upon who writes it, when does the person write it. Important details can get missed, tone can vary, and then teams keep fixing those same mistakes. The quality of output, the overall output of your release notes document or a release notes page, changelog page, ultimately depends upon the collective knowledge of the team that is working over there, their collective memory of the team that is working there, and then there's some oversight that is always needed when someone has to review all the things before they are actually published. So that is the main problem. That's what we are going to solve through this feature. To dive deeper into the problem, what all these problems, basically all the points that we discussed in the earlier slide, they basically creates an inconsistent quality of your changelog document. The release notes don't between the two releases don't look alike because there is a different tone, different set of language that is used, different customizations, visual customizations, designs that are used, and so the entire document doesn't look cohesive. Sometimes some teams do maintain some best practices that the team needs to follow, but more than often these best practices are hidden into some documentation which is not easily accessible to the team, and then ultimately the things start to creep through the gaps, and you still see those mistakes happening over the period. And then the problem escalates further when you have a new team member joining into this particular team who is responsible for writing release notes. The new team contributors, they struggle to know what a good should look like when I'm writing release notes for this particular product. So there is not a common brand voice that is reflected through a collective efforts of multiple contributors to a release notes or a changelog document. And to solve this problem, we have introduced a new feature in Olvy Changelogs, that is content guide. What this content guide does is it gives the contributors, the writers who are actually writing the release notes, an in-context guidance shown while they are actually writing the release notes, so they don't have to navigate to anywhere else to see those best practices in a documentation, or they don't have to talk to someone else about what best practices that they should follow, and or somebody doesn't have to always review the content that is generated by them, applying those best practices. So the writer, the contributor, have access to that guideline document right within the app while they are actually writing the release notes. Uh, Obviously, when you have an in context guidance, it helps users to write better without leaving the editor, without leaving their mind space. They just have to access it right there and then implement it in the editor right away. And so it also helps you to give your product specific, your team specific guidelines to the contributors right within the editor, so that they can customize the overall tone, the output, the language, the inline customizations, images, visualizations, everything. You can customize those guidelines, and so that your contributors, your release notes writers can follow those rules and then provide or create a better output of your release notes. What kind of guidance that it can offer? Again, it's a there is no bar, or there is no limitation as such, because you can customize it as per your need. But some general points that we have mentioned here, that you can add to this content guide, like general best practices or your product specific rules, that you need to follow these colors, the primary colors, these secondary colors, images should be of this size, all those team specific or product specific rules that you can set up. You can provide a clear structure of release notes of particular release needs to be written. You can also provide the preferred terminology that the writers needs to use. You can provide guidelines on the consistent formatting that they need to maintain, the tone of the language that they need to maintain, do's and don'ts, what good looks like, what should be avoided, that can also be included, and which will ultimately definitely create a better output, more consistent with your brand voice. How it fits into the workflow, like I mentioned earlier, it appears right there within the editor. It's non-intrusive, so if needed you can close this if you are aware of all the guidelines, and you can refer to them only when they are needed, and you can manage it at a central location. So yeah, you can modify that guideline document at a central location, and it will be available with a release workflow of Olvy Changelogs. Why it matters? I think it should be already clear by now that it will lead to better quality, consistent voice of your brand, better onboarding of new contributors, and obviously less rework, because you need lesser oversight, lesser review of the content that is being generated, and that ultimately leads to the less rework. Now, with this background in mind, let's directly move into the Olvy and see how this content guide feature works in the live setup. So I will switch my window to the changelog page of Olvy, and this is a typical release listing page of Olvy, which you might have already explored by now and you must be familiar with. So this is where you create your new releases or manage your releases that are already published in draft, whatever. So let's go into the actual release creation workflow from here. So I have one unpublished release readily available here, and I have scribbled few release notes for this release here. So it's a typical situation for any contributor who is actually writing release notes for your product. They have gathered information about the release, and now they have started writing them. So this is the first draft of the release note that I have already written. There are two major contenders or issues that are included in this release, so you can see that on the screen. And now what I will do is I will show you how I can access my content guide right with it. So if you can see on the right top corner, just besides the preview button, there is a new option that is now enabled called content guide. And when I click over there, you will notice right within my editor, just besides my editor basically, a content guide has now appeared with some set of guidelines that I need to follow while I'm writing these release notes. So you can see there is some guideline about the tone of the voice that I need to use, guidelines about the images that I need to use, their size, their you know actual size and the dimensions, the quality. Then there are a few do's that I need to follow, don'ts that I need to avoid, and then you can see there are some best practices that are already mentioned here. Now these are some default content guidelines that we have provided from our side, but like I mentioned earlier, you can customize this to suit your own teams, your product's communication strategy, your product's communication voice that you follow overall throughout the surface area of your product when you are communicating anything from your product side to any of your stakeholders. You can customize this guideline according to that so that your contributors follow those guidelines. Now before we go to the settings page where you can customize these content guidelines, one more thing that I want to highlight here is that you can notice this is appearing right besides my editor, so I'm able to see those guidelines while I'm actually writing my release notes or while I'm doing the release notes activity. Second thing, it's read only, so I don't have to worry about any changes done anything here. This is available predetermined set of guidelines that are available for me. If I'm confident enough that I know about this and I don't want any further intrusion while I'm writing these release notes, then I can simply close this. Then my editor again switches back to the full size and I'm free to use it, write it, concentrate on my writing skill. And if at all next time or further while I'm writing, I need to refer to the content guide again, I can quickly revoke that and look at the guidelines in the content guide, and when I'm done with it, I will just close. So this is the first part of the session where we have just showcased how the content guide is available to your contributors right within the editor area where you actually write your release notes, and you can easily access those guidelines and close them when you don't need them anymore. Now let's go back to the settings page, and I will show you the central location from where you can customize this content guide. So in the settings page under the changelog area in the settings page, you will notice a new option called content guide, and when you click over that, you will see the content guideline appears on your screen within an editor. There is an editor here now because now this is the place where you can edit it, you can customize it to suit your own products or your company's brand guidelines or overall brand voice guidelines, I would say. So you can customize it as per your need, or you can delete everything here and paste the customized guideline that you want, or you can keep something from the default one that we have provided and additionally add a few more things that you want. So for example, I have a few guidelines specific to the product that I am referring to in my changelog, and I have already prepared those guidelines with me. So what I will do is I will quickly copy, and I will first remove all the contents, that default content that were there, and now I am pasting my own guidelines. Now you will notice I had already added some you know design inline designs and formatting to the guideline that I have written here in the Google Docs. But even here, even if you paste the plain text, you can use the inbuilt editor that Olvy has provided and customize the look and feel of this guideline document as per your needs. So let's say you don't want an underline, you can add. So all these customizations are readily available for you so that you can make this guide visually appealing for your users to refer to. So I have just saved my updated version of content guide from the settings page. So once again, I will just quickly show you under the settings page, under the changelog section, you will see a new option called content guide. And from that, you will access this editor where you can quickly customize the guideline document and save the changes. Once you have saved those changes, you can go back to the changelog creation flow, or release creation flow rather. And here, if you access the content guideline again, then you will see the updated contents. So all your contributors will start seeing the customized version, the updated version of your content guide right within the editor, and they can start following that. So this is how you can customize it to support your own brand voice. So for example, I will show you a few examples of how we have done here in the customization. I have added the purpose, like why this document is there, then the tone of the language that user needs to use, writing guideline. There I have added some guidelines like user should start with the benefits of the changes first, keep sentences short, don't use bigger sentences, use bullets for multiple changes, prefer clarity. And there are some examples like what should be the good version and what should be the avoided version of a same change that you are describing. Then the guidelines about the titles of each issue, release titles, images that you add against issues, featured images related guidelines are also provided, like the background colors, the primary, secondary colors that user needs to use or ensure that they are used, do's and don'ts. And then last one, mental check before publishing. There is one clear guideline that has been provided about the mental check before I publish my release notes. So this is how you can customize this as per your need, and then it will be available to your contributors right within the release creation flow. With that, I think we have seen the importance of this new feature. At the same time, we also quickly saw uh, how it works. Before we close the session, I just want to reiterate that this is an industry first feature. So this is the first time such a feature has been introduced in any changelog management product, and no other tool currently has this level of structured guidance to the writers, in order to enable them create more meaningful, more quality output of your release notes and change logs. And this actually reflects our commitment towards improving your product communications the Olvy tool. So with that, we are towards the end of this session. This video ends here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, add your comments on this video, or you can reach out to us via feedback form in Olvy itself. If you have not yet started using Olvy, you can quickly sign up for Olvy from olvy.co. The robust free version of Olvy available, where you can start using Olvy right from day one without any payment. So we are going to publish more such videos in coming weeks. So let's with this I'm signing